Hi all, I hope you guys had a wonderful week. This is my week 3 presentation titled Theories to Practice. So this week I'll be covering three theorists. First is Luther Gulick and his Postacorp and Division of Labor, Chester Bernard and his formal and informal organization, and Charles Lindblom with the science of muddling through. Now with Gulick, it's mostly theory in regards to organization, and that's where he presented the acronym POSTACORP, which stands for, as you can see, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. I think in itself, I think that's a very good method for an organization to structure the division of labor, just like Gulick's noted. If you do have division of labor, in order to get it to be more efficient, you do have to plan things out accordingly, right? Or else you're just going to get sort of a chaotic mess, right? And he also highlights, you just really need one boss, right? If you have multiple bosses, then you'll be torn every direction, right? And you ultimately you wouldn't get the job done. Next, we have Bernard with his informal and formal organization. That deals with more of a communication and sort of relationships within an organization. We see that a lot. We call it, water cooler time, right? Every time you go to the kitchen or get a cup of coffee, go out to lunch, people talk, right? And Bernard believes that, we are a social animal, right? We like to interact with each other, play off of each other, and that ultimately creates a certain culture within an organization. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen that, right? And that usually does, as Bernard stated, dictates the formal organization, right? If everything is sort of on the same plane, right? If there is a vision, a mission, right, and the culture of the organization is sort of following that pattern, then the organization itself would plan, around that. Just like, for example, if in a city, right? If there is a vision or a goal set by council, um, but if there's different ideas and different culture or relationships within City Hall among staff, then that vision and goal can be slightly skewed a little bit. And then, you would have to reevaluate certain things and go back and replan. And the third theory would be Lindblom's science of muddling through. I like this idea as well. He talks about incrementalism, which is just having changes incrementally, right? We go small, 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 until we get to the ultimate goal, right? Limbaugh states that policy change is not revolutionary; it's evolutionary, right? We've always seen that. It's always better to have small changes, right? Nobody likes big changes in regards to anything, right? Whether it be the direction your organization's going, the plan, right? The vision, the goals. Small steps, right? Because each step brings you a different scenario, right? And once that scenario is presented in front of you, you might not have the same course of action, right? You might have to take a different course of action in order to get things done. And, obviously in public administration, when you're dealing with the public, that tends to happen a lot. Now, with some of the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses of each theory, whether if it's Gulick, Bernard, or Lindbaum, with proper planning, division of work, uh, especially one boss, right? As Gulick stated, you're not gonna have, as I mentioned earlier, different bosses yelling at you, right? You have, one manager telling you this, and then you have another supervisor telling you have to do it another way. I mean, towards the end of the day, not only that it's not efficient, it takes a big toll on morale, right? But if you have clear planning, inclusive planning, right, and good direction, proper staffing, you coordinate everything, and everybody knows what they need to do, everybody's happier, right? They're more efficient. They know what to do. There are some complaints, right? Everybody's going to complain, whether or not they like their job, but at least they have a clear direction. And essentially, in my experience, that gives you more of a sense of fulfillment, right? You know what the organization wants. They're clearly training you on it. They're clearly giving you directions on where to go and what to do. And so I believe a lot of people would rather have that than anything else as part of their sort of job expectations. And additionally, under Gulick's theory, there could be, as he stated, additional economies, right, would be created, right, with the division of labor or proper planning and staffing. You tend to know which job is, well, I guess more of a ranking system, right? Everything gets specialized, right? And so, you know, for example, City Hall, right? They have different departments, and that's with proper planning, and they know who to get and what type of qualifications that they need for that specific position. And with Bernard, it's in regards to informal and formal organization, but more specifically, it's the communication, right? That's one of the pros that everybody knows what to do. They have access to information if they need it, and they don't feel left out or clueless. And that in itself can create efficiency, right? And efficiency means cost saving, right? And also sort of higher morale, right, among the staff. And finally, looking at Limbaum's science of muddling through. As you can see there, a lot of organizations they tend to go faster than they need to, and they end up putting the cart before the horse, right? They have this idea, they have this wonderful grand plan, whether if it's from the executives or council or from the top down, right? And they want to get things done right away, whether if it's because they're up for re-election or for some political reason, right? And everything gets jumbled, right? And they start missing things. As I mentioned before, incrementalism, right? Each step you go, if it's properly planned, you're going to face certain hurdles that you don't expect, and you would have to make changes as you go. And so having small changes and proper planning, going forward, that tends to be more efficient. Now, I know that I've mostly listed pros on the three theories, um, but I think there's not much weakness there. I think the weakness is if you just follow one theory. If you can tie all three theories together, I think that makes for a well defined and efficient organization, right? If you have proper planning, proper staffing, coordination, along with good communications, right? Access to information, and understanding the different relationships within your organization, that could create that certain culture, right? And as you move forward with the proper planning, you realize that there are different scenarios and that you have to change accordingly, right? With all three put together, I think that would be the ultimate goal. And the con and the weakness would be to separate that and just to stick with one theory. And finally, we see that in our workplace. In my career, I've managed upwards of 25 people in one department. They much rather have me give them clear directions, right? Clear information, so that they're not goofing off, right? If employees are left at their own device, they're bound to sort of slide and not be efficient, and if they have no direction, they're just gonna waste time, right? If you don't have proper understanding or realizing the different cultures among your staff, they're going to end up hating you, right? If you are hated by your staff, then that means that some work isn't being done 100%, right? We don't need to be liked. in management. However, we can't be hated, right? We have to understand the different relationships in the organization and properly train staff, and communicate with our employees so that they know the direction, right? As I mentioned before, um, employees or staff, they like direction, right? Whether they're complaining about too much work, or too little time, but if you train them properly and you give them proper direction, they appreciate that a lot more than they would reveal to you. Well, so in conclusion, I believe that as I mentioned before, uh, using one theory to solve a particular problem, it isn't the right method. I know in my previous presentations I mentioned there's no one silver bullet that can take care of anything, especially when you're dealing with people, right? An organization, and on top of that, an organization that serves the public, right? You're going to have different changes, different needs, whether if it's from the public or your staff. You have budgets, you have coordination that you have to go through, staffing issues. And so if we can find, theories that can be combined together and have a proper organization through that, I think that would be the best way. Well, that's all for my presentation this week. I tried to get everything down in a short period of time, but it looks like I going up till about 12 minutes here, so I apologize for the long slides. Well, have a good weekend, and I will see you guys next week.